Hey guys, welcome to Indie Style. I am your host, Leah DeVon. Well, I tell you guys, we have a very exciting and informative show for you today. I am sitting here with the multi-talented, I tell you guys, I can't wait for you to meet him. This is Dr. Saadiq El-Amin. Okay, guys, and he is a wonderful orthopedic surgeon. He's based here in Atlanta, Georgia. We are gonna sit down and talk about your backstory, learn a lot about you and what you're doing in your practice, and let our viewers get to know a little bit more about you. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Thank you.
So guys, stay tuned. We will be right back. Here on Indie Style, we'll feature successful entrepreneurs from across the globe who are making incredible strides in their industry. You may not know their names yet, but you soon will. I'm Leah DeVon, and this is Indie Style. And welcome back to Indie Style. And if you are just tuning in, I am sitting here with Dr. Saadiq El-Amin. Welcome to Indie Style.
Wow, thank you for having me here. I'm so excited. So excited.
You're being so humble. We are here in your lovely home, and so thank you for giving us your time and letting us come to you today.
Well, thank you. I've been blessed, and I'm excited to be here and share my story and just tell you about what I do.
Well, it's a great story, and I've had the opportunity to do a little bit of research about you. So let's kind of talk about your backstory. Where were you born?
Okay, so I'm originally from Rochester, New York. Grew up in inner city New York, and basically my parents had me at age 15. Wow. So I know I couldn't imagine two parents today, 15, having a child.
Having
babies.
Yeah.
They dropped out of the 8th grade, went back and got their GED, and basically were just amazing people. Got married and still married.
Wow.
About to celebrate their 50th anniversary.
That is so rare.
That's right, very rare. And so I thank God every day that that two kids had the vision at 15 to keep me.
That's pretty amazing.
That really is.
I'm sure you feel very grateful.
I not only feel grateful, I feel honored. I feel like it's for a purpose, and that it always reinforces that I have so much work to do in the world to make it a better place.
That's a beautiful thing. So your parents gave you hope, and it sounds like you have a lot of purpose with what you're doing.
I did, because I mean, when you look back at it, and one of the things my mom always tells me, another thing, and I don't know, I'll tell you this, but I was also a breech birth. I mean, I came out, backside first. So my mom always says to me, she says, whenever there's trials and tribulations of going through med school, life, and in my career, she says, your hardest struggle you've already done. That was being born.
Oh, wow.
So everything else is gravy.
Everything else is gravy.
It's gravy.
So are you an only or?
No. So I'm the oldest of 5 siblings. There's 5 of us total. So there's three boys, including myself, and then 2 girls.
Yeah, 3 boys. Those busy boys,
No.
huh?
But she's the oldest of 13.
Wow. 13, my mom.
Really?
Yes.
So
those are those strong mamas.
The strong mama, exactly,
Wow.
exactly. So I got to watch my mom not only be a mom, but be a big sister, be an aunt, be so many different roles that I got to see because I grew up in a large, loving family in inner city New York.
That's a beautiful thing to have that big family.
It is.
To love and support you.
It really was, and it resonates so much in who I am, because one of the things that a lot of my aunts did is they went into medicine.
Really?
As in nursing.
Okay.
So I had about 7 of the my mother's sisters that were either involved in some type of nursing or some type of healthcare. So when they found out that I wanted to be when they found out I was a doctor, wanted to be a doctor, they all grabbed me, and they all sort of kind of would just tell me that this is what you need to do to be a good physician. Treat your nurses well. Listen to your nurses.
Yes. Sometimes you see doctors talking a little.
And then also, I would hear their stories of what they had to deal with in the hospital, what they had to deal with relationships with their patients, and how their physicians treated them. So it made me become this passionate person and nurturing person, and also understand how important it was to be a team player when it comes to medicine.
That's a beautiful thing. So how old were you when you kind of figured out, this is my calling, this is what I'm going to do?
That's a great question, because a lot of people ask me that, and they say, when did you choose medicine? I'm going to have to say medicine chose me. And I'll tell you the story. And why that is because when I was a little kid, my parents asked me about 7 or 8, what did I want to be when I grow up? And I said, I want to be a doctor. They said, excuse me? Exactly. You're absolutely right.
Most of them say a ghost.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. And they shocked them. So they looked at me and they said, okay, all right. So next week, my mom said, okay, we got to go to the doctors. Well, the doctors for what? So we go to my pediatrician. We get in a room, and the pediatrician comes in, and he says, okay, everything's good. You're here for your shots.
Were you sick?
No.
Oh, okay.
And my parents says, well, okay, he told us he wants to be a doctor.
Stop.
And so you're the only doctor we know.
Go ahead.
But this is what they did. This is what they did in the inner city, right? Because think about it.
Okay.
I didn't meet any African American physicians growing up.
Right.
I didn't know any doctors in my neighborhood who I could hang out with. So they basically said to me, we don't know any doctors. So they took me to the health clinic and made an appointment.
I love it.
And he looked at them. I looked at them, because at that point it was like looking up, like,
right.
What? So, because I'm thinking I'm going to get a shot, something's going on. The doctor's like, so you're not here you're feeling okay. So yes, he told us he wants to go into medicine, and we don't know. So please help us. And he said 3 things. 1, listen to your parents, do well in school. Tell my parents, don't push him. If he's for him, it will be for him.
I love that you remember the story.
I feel like it's night and day.
Do you know what I mean? Like so it was a lasting.
I do. I followed that pediatrician until I was 25. He kicked me out of his practice. He said, "You're 25. I can only take care of you till you're 18." I said, "But you got me into medicine."
But he knows what you're doing today.
Absolutely.
You know how they say that there are people in your life who touch your life at a very young age.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful
made
thing.
a nice footprint in me, and I continue that, and I remember those words.
Well, we're going to come back because we have so much more to talk to the good doctor. I wanted to say that, the good doctor. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back. This show is sponsored by Caribbean Blue Water. Visit their website at caribbeanbluewater.com. Not getting enough indie style? Watch full episodes at indiestyletv.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to find out who is doing it indie style. And welcome back to Indie Style, and I'm so excited. We're having a wonderful conversation with Dr. Saadiq El-Amin, and talking about your practice. You are a very, I guess, a well-renowned orthopedic surgeon.
Wow, thank you.
That was good, right?
That is. Wow.
This is how much I'm totally enjoying talking to you today. Let's talk a little bit about your practice and what kind of clients come to you.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I'm an orthopedic surgeon, and I specialize in shoulder and sports medicine. And that's pretty much taking care of everything from ankles to knees to elbows to shoulders and hips. And my clientele can range anywhere from the age of 5 to the age of 80 or more. I see everyone, because everyone has some type of joint pain or injury.
Okay.
But I did a special fellowship in shoulder and sports medicine, and I took care of a professional team. I did some my fellowship with the New York Knicks at St. John's University in New
just
York.
Those 2 little ones.
And,
the big ones.
And that's sort of kind of where I really was able to hone in on my skills and learn how to take care of the elite professional athletes. And what I decided to do when I came to Atlanta is basically not only take care of the high-profile athletes, but just take that same care that I give them and give it to everybody.
I like that.
And I made that choice because at the end of the day, I kind of felt that when it's all said and done, and I'm standing in front of God, and He's going to say, "I gave you this amazing ability. Did you take care of all my people? Did you take care of the kid that had Medicaid or had no insurance, that was self-pay, that needed an ACL? Or did you just choose to take care of those who could just dribble a basketball and make $150 million a year?"
That's awesome.
So that's what my premise is, and that's how I like to live my life and practice medicine.
I think that is incredibly selfless because there are so many surgeons who are successful like you, but they only want to deal with the high profile celebrity clients. And just learning about you and what I've read, and you're a giver.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I'm a giver because, again, I was raised to really believe that those who was given a lot have a huge expectation to give back.
Right.
And that success comes from bringing everyone along. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, when you're a little kid, and when I was this little kid and I wanted to be this doctor, I didn't know anything about an HMO, PPO, Medicaid, Medicare, whether or not you got a big $1 million contract. I just wanted to help people. And so that's why I not only take care of a lot of high profile people, but I also make sure I do a lot of charity work, a lot of mission work. So important.
So, yeah, I understand this morning you were actually, like, you often go and you feed the homeless.
Absolutely.
Tell me.
I mean,
You're
tell you about
gonna
that.
do that, yes.
Oh, well, I mean, clearly, obviously, there's a huge homeless population in
Yes.
downtown Atlanta.
Yes.
And not only there's a huge homeless population in downtown Atlanta, a lot of them look like me.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. And so I honestly believe that I wanted to make a difference. And so I connected with Feeding the Homeless organization down in Atlanta. And every Saturday, if I'm in town, I meet a couple friends and bring people, and we actually cook a nice warm meal. And we get there at 6:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get there at 6:30 in the morning, you're tired. It's Saturday morning, and you see hundreds of people waiting. It humbles you.
I was about to say, you probably
You
feel.
do. So they say thank you so much for coming and feeding me. I go, no, thank you for allowing me to do this. Because that's food for my soul as well. And I think we've gotten so far, especially in medicine, in understanding that being a physician is not about the house you live in, the car you drive, or what you do. It's about being a leader and setting an example for others to follow. Mm-hmm. And that's just how I was raised. And I agree. And you understand, I was that kid that walked in school and walked down the street to catch the bus and walked over homeless kids, walked over homeless people. Mm-hmm. So now I have the ability to make a difference and give back. Why wouldn't you do it?
See, your mama did good.
Oh, she sure did. If not, she'd probably spank me if I didn't. So, I'm going to make sure that I do the right thing. And let me tell you something. I realized early on, the more I give, the more God gives me.
Absolutely.
It's very simple.
Yeah, what you put out into the universe, you do get back.
You get back.
You just do.
And not only that, I want to also talk about my mission work in Africa. So I got a call one day to ask to go to Africa and help kids in Liberia because more kids were dying from trauma than malaria, and they only had one orthopedic surgeon for that whole country.
Whoa.
So I didn't know about Liberia, didn't know about anything, but prayed about it. And believe it or not, I saw a special the next day. Bob Johnson, the founder of BET.
Okay.
It had built this hotel over in Liberia. And he said that Liberia should be a sanctuary for African Americans because that was the first place we could go after slavery ended.
Wow. Okay.
So we should all be able to give back to keep that thought going. So I said, why not? I might as well check it out. I've never been, I went. And it was the greatest experience of my life. I went there. I did hundreds of surgeries for free. I saw thousands of people. And I felt that this is what medicine's about. Giving to give. Saving to make a difference. And that made me just a better doctor. It made me a better person. And so every year since that time, I spent almost a week to 10 days going and giving free care in Africa. And now that led to me meeting the president of Liberia.
What was that like?
Well, it's scary because I can tell you the story. It was how I met her was very scary, but meeting her and taking care of her as a patient and operating on her has been one of the greatest experiences of my life. And then being involved with the Ebola initiative with her. Right. I'm right now go over there and we're building hospitals over there together and working on projects and sending relief. So once you've had that, that's like a drug. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Money can't give you that.
No.
A car can't give you that. Some of them are really nice to drive, but it can't give you that.
No.
And let me tell you something. That feeling of giving to give for the purpose of God or whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, that's a drug that I want for the rest of my life. And that has made me a better person, and that has made me open up doors for everyone, and that's why you will see me down feeding the homeless.
That's pretty amazing. So before we take a break, I want to ask you a question. So what would you say has been the most defining moment in your career? What do you think?
Wow. I mean,
question.
That's a little question because like my mom said, I mean, obviously being born under the circumstances, but I think the defining point in my life is I was in Liberia, and I was operating on I had this girl who had this 4 years old, same age as my little daughter, who had a tumor on her leg that was twice the size of a watermelon.
Oh my goodness.
And she was going to die.
Right.
So we took her to the OR. But prior to that, taking her to the OR, her and her mom had walked 3 days to Monrovia. And they took a taxi, a cab, how they could get there. Right. By the time they got there, she wasn't doing so well. So we took her to the OR, and she ended up having what they call an osteosarcoma, which is a really bad tumor that happens in children. And we had to rush her there and had to unfortunately amputate her leg to keep her alive.
To keep her alive, I understand.
Keep her alive.
Right.
And one thing her mom asked me, she says, when you operate on her, please do not take off her tribal band, because they was from the Mandingo tribe in Liberia. And she said, because if she doesn't make it, if she doesn't have her tribal band on, they won't take care of her on the other side. So I looked at her mom, I said, I'll promise you I will not take off her tribal bands in the OR, and I'll do everything in my power to keep her here. So we operated on her, we took care of her leg, and she lived. And so that taught me a lot as a person. It taught me if you want to be a good doctor, it's not about what you want, it's what's best for your patients and what their beliefs are and respecting that. And that story will always stick with me for two reasons. One is to have a little girl at that age, when I had a little girl, go through all that pain and suffering. And then, a week later, a week before that, I get a call out of nowhere to go to Africa and help someone I didn't know. And her mom said to me after surgery, I don't know how I can ever repay you. I said, you don't have to repay me for anything, because thank you. She said, I will pray for you for the rest of my life.
Wow.
And when you experience stuff like that,
you got that blessing.
You
got that blessing.
So it all starts to make sense.
Yeah.
So you understand why I get up at 6:30. See why I'm up there giving hot grits and pancakes and sausages to the homeless.
That is amazing. So we're you guys have to stay tuned. We're going to sit here and do this, because I hope that you are feeling inspired. I'm very inspired, and I'm so excited that I got to meet you today.
Oh, thank you. I'm just blessed to be here.
This is a beautiful thing. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Are you still doing it indie style? To be a guest on our show, visit our website today at indiestyletv.com. And welcome back, everybody. I hope that you are enjoying this interview as much as I am. I'm a little humbled by this interview. No, I mean it. This is so exciting for me to meet somebody who has had the success that you've had, and that you're going to continue to have. You're a really good person, and I hope that my audience can feel what I'm feeling right here. So what a service you're doing to your patients. That's just a beautiful thing. Yeah, I had to say it. It's refreshing to meet somebody like that, because I feel like it's service. Guys, he's incredibly successful. He's very humble, but when you've reached a level of success, which you have, so many people don't reach back. He does surgery in other countries for free. There's a lot that you do that I'm excited that I'm getting to learn about. You're going to cry. It's very humbling.
Yeah.
So, if you had to give 3 tips to those up and coming orthopedic surgeons, because I know it's a haul to do and a lot of work to do what you do, give us those 3 good tips.
I think that the first thing I would do is advice I give to people is that if you treat everyone as if they were your mother, 9 times out of 10 you would do the right thing. If you ask yourself that question, if this was my mom, what would I want for her? What would I do if it's my mom? And that's kind of what I do a lot of times. So I give that advice. I mean, you can't ever forget that. Well, I gotta be, respectful. It gotta be like, work hard. No, if you treat everyone like your mom, 9 times out of 10, you will do the right thing. All right. That's the most important thing I tell people. Second thing I tell people is listen to your patients. All right. Because the reason why I say that is the relationship that you have with your patient is so important. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but it's a journey that you take with your patients. All right? So maybe some rough days, maybe some good days, but at the end of the day, understand that you have to open up the lines of communication at all times, even if you've done the wrong thing. Because it's important, it's important. You can get another house, you can get another car. But at the end of the day, you only get one right shoulder, one left shoulder. So at the end of the day, that's it. Once it's messed up, it's there.
Right.
So if you cannot bond with your patients on making sure they understand what their problem is and help them through that journey, you lose them and they lose you. So tell that. And then the last thing is success comes from being balanced. I think that's so important. Believe in something. I don't care what it is. It's if you're religious, not religious, but believe in something and give hope and hold on to hope for yourself. Because it's tough sometimes to always hear people come to you with pain. I gotta fix your. At the end of the day, no matter what your issue is,
make it better.
I gotta make it better. Basically, doc, get rid of my pain.
Right.
So after you hear that, day in and day out, it can change you. Sometimes it can make you careless. Sometimes it can make you want to be closed off. It can make you, because you're always dealing with people's negativity and they're relying on you, not their negativity, their negative problems, and they're relying on you to make them better. So I try to tell doctors to stay balanced. Do the things that you need to sort of kind of feed your soul, to make you understand why you chose medicine. And that's why community work is so important.
Okay, so all of you guys and ladies that are out there, that's like really good advice. Because it's interesting. I would never think that a doctor would think that way. That it is sort of negative, of course, because you're always trying to heal.
It is.
So that is depressing.
Well, I mean,
to a degree, in terms of keeping a good mindset when you see your patients.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because because it is, and so being a physician has really nothing about practicing medicine. It's being a leader. It's setting a good example. It's being there when no one else will be there.
Awesome. So I hope that you guys pay close attention to those tips. Those were really good. And I also want to talk about your specialty, because we had a conversation off camera. Tell everybody what you're doing with your STEM research.
My research. Okay. So it's interesting. Again, this is God, because 15 years ago I got a PhD in regenerative medicine or tissue engineering. So people say, "Whoa, what is that?" So when I can remember clearly, I was watching. Remember the $6 Million Man?
Yeah.
$6 Million Woman. However, it was a show. Bionic Woman. Right? Remember that?
Yep.
I remember sitting there watching that, saying, "Man, that's gonna be awesome. I bet you we're gonna be able to do that someday." And so I decided I was very fortunate to find a mentor who was at MIT at the time when I was an undergraduate. I was in Boston, and I did research in his lab. And I learned this thing called tissue engineering, which is not regenerative medicine, which means you actually take your cells that you were born with, that God gave you, and you can actually get them to regenerate the tissue that you've lost.
That's amazing.
So that makes sense. So
Yes.
if you are, and those things are called stem cells, all right. And that is we're not talking about stem cells from like embryos or anything like that. Nothing in your fetus, nothing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the things that God gave you to create your bone, your tendons, your ligaments, your nerves. And when you're young, you have an abundance of those. But as we get older and we get hurt, you notice that it takes longer to get back healthy. And that's because that's called the regenerative process of the body. Of healing takes longer.
Yes.
So our research is involving actually finding out new ways to repair that so that your body can heal itself by keeping that. So for instance, say if you have arthritis in your knee, you have cartilage loss in your knee. Instead of getting a total knee, we do a procedure where we can actually harvest some of the adipose or your fat from your stomach, and that has a lot of stem cells in it. So we can take those, isolate those stem cells, and then we can inject them back into your knee to help regenerate or remake new cartilage, or help you with a tendon tear or a ligament injury if it's not that bad.
So let me ask you this. So, I was telling the doctor, ACL, I've had several surgeries. So, and I was telling you, of course, the downtime for the traditional type of surgery that I have had. So if a person were to come to you with the ACL problem and you were to treat them with this stem cell rejuvenation, did I say that right?
Yes,
something like
that's
that.
Right. I love rejuvenation. You're right, because it's being used in everything. It's used for hair growth. It's being used to help people with their wrinkles. People are using this for a lot of different things.
We're toenail talk.
Right.
But what would
I can't do that. I've always been surgeon.
I'm joking. So what would be the recovery time?
All right.
With your method?
That's a great thing. So one of the things that we're doing is it's not necessarily that the recovery time is still the same. Okay. But it's the process that you go through to get there. Meaning what we're finding out, you're having less pain, less inflammation. You're creating a stronger ligament by adding these materials to help you grow. People are getting to therapy faster and so forth. So it's really exciting. I mean, I've had individuals who will come to me and they may go to one doctor and says, well, you need a total knee. You might not be ready for a total knee. No, you don't want no metal yet. I'm like, whoa, slow your roll.
Yeah.
And then they've come and we've done, regenerative medicine techniques on them, and we've been able to give them pain relief for 2 to 3 years.
See, there's hope.
Yeah,
for people that walk around, but I'm grateful because I'm healthy and I've done a lot of good things to help my knee. But I'm saying, for somebody that has not had that fortune in terms of being able to deal with it, that's hope.
That's hope. I mean, I'll give you here's a perfect example of how awesome regenerative medicine is, or how awesome we've had this opportunity in science. Remember Peyton Manning?
Yes.
Right? Remember he was with the Broncos and he was having some issues and he had neck surgery. And he had to have multiple neck operations, correct?
Yeah.
His last operation is because his neck fusion didn't take. So they added stem cells to that. It helped it heal during the procedure. All right, it's well known. And then look at him. He went and won a Super Bowl. That's
awesome. So basically, the recovery, you said, is still the same, but the quality of care means you perhaps won't have to come back.
That's right, the outcomes.
Okay.
The improvement think about it. If, my concept, the way I was taught by my mentor, Dr. Lorenzen, at MIT when I was a young guy, he said, if you give the body everything it needs, it will take care of itself.
It's like a simple concept.
It really is. It really is. But if you think about it, if I give you everything that God put in you and put it in the right environment, it will take care of itself. And that's why you're seeing a lot of great things happen with stem cell technology and all these things, because those were the cells that gave you life. Those are the cells that at the day, it was day one that was there saying, okay, hey, I need a liver. Hey, we need a kidney. Hey, we need a brain. Hey, we need some bone. Let's get on it.
We need some bone.
That's right. Does that make sense? Those are the cells. So being able to, so the future is very bright, because what you don't understand is, as the baby boomers age, there's going to be a huge amount of people needing arthritic procedures, total knees, total shoulders, total hips, but who may not be ready. And that's going to be a huge flux into the healthcare system. With everything that's going on with Medicaid, Medicare, this, that, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it. This is concerning. So when you see science leading the way to sort of kind of give people back that freedom, that level of productivity, you know how nice it is when someone comes in and says, I don't need a total knee because I got injections, and now I'm going to go back to work and be a productive person in our society? Whew.
That's some good stuff.
That's why we do it.
This is just awesome to learn about and to hear. And thank you for sharing this. This is like, I feel like I'm at school, a good school, and like I actually want to be there, because I didn't really like science and math, and I was more of that English kind of girl. But this is so informative, And it's exciting to learn that this type of health is there, or what's the word I'm looking for?
That it's going to be part of our generation. It really is. It really is. I mean, if you think about it, if someone told you when you were a kid that you were going to be carrying around a small cell phone that could technically, basically allow you to video chat, talk, have apps, you would have said no. You would have said, "Are you kidding me? I got a payphone. That's a payphone, right? If someone now tells you, hey, you can probably have some technique and some materials that you can put inside your knee that are going to cause your knee to regenerate.
Right.
Imagine. That's the path we're going into. And this is society. I'm excited to do. So when I say this my being and what I do this is why I've been blessed to do some great things, and that's why I have to get back.
Okay. And on that note, guys, stay tuned. We will be right back. Not getting enough indie style? Watch full episodes at indiestyletv.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube to find out who is doing it indie style. Hey guys, I hope that you have had a wonderful time listening to our show today. I know that I have. I am so excited that I got to meet you.
I know. Likewise, this has been great. And you know, both of us being in this industry, it is just awesome when we just come together and just really I forgot that the cameras are here.
We did too. We've been just doing this the whole time.
And it's been amazing. It really has been. It's been
a pleasure. A complete pleasure.
It really has been.
I'm excited. So you are on social media, and I know people are going to be like, okay, where is he? How can I find him? I want you to tell everybody where we can find him.
I saw on Instagram I'm on dr.El-Amin Sports Medicine. That's ELAMIN in sports medicine.
Okay.
So if you put this dr dot, not many dr dots come up, so you'll find me, and then E, that should pop up.
I'm following you.
Thank you. That's right. And then on Twitter it's Dr. underscore at Dr. underscore Saadiq. And then on Facebook as well. And then as far as my practice is concerned, right now I'm going to be my practice. You can find me at Duluth Hospital in Gwinnett. So I'm in the Hutchinson building. But if you just call the Duluth Hospital and say, "Can I meet Dr. El-Amin?" they will find me.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So.
Complete pleasure.
Are you kidding me? The
This
pleasure's
has
all
been
mine.
so awesome.
It's been awesome.
Okay, so one more question before we leave.
Sure.
Doesn't have to be a long answer. We spoke of something a little bit earlier about, so we're going to put you 60 years into the future.
Oh God.
I'm wishing that for you, 60. You can do that
I
real
love
old
it.
man, real old.
I love it.
What would you want people to remember you by?
Wow.
It's all said and done.
I think the most important thing I want them to remember by is that I left an amazing legacy with my children.
How many girls? Tell them how many girls you
I have three girls.
3 girls.
3 amazing, beautiful girls. Really, I've been blessed. And I think that's the most important, because you know, when it's all said and done, you know, I published a lot, I've written books, I've done this stuff, I've done a lot of stuff in science, but at the end of the day, what really matters when I'm old in 6 years and they have to bury me, the people that you've raised, you hope that they respect you enough to just be there and just continue your legacy. Because that's what you leave.
Right.
You leave DNA. That's the bottom line. I'm a result of the fact that someone had decided to, at 15, preserve that DNA. Bottom line. And so that's my biggest hope, is that I will continue to live on through, you know, my children and their children, and create a foundation and a pattern that they can say, you know what, Grandpa did all these amazing things, so we got to continue to do amazing things.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, and I want you to stay tuned for our Indie Spotlight Artist of the Week. Until next week, I am Leah DeVon. Be well.